Incredible Dali painting discovered, from £150 to £30,000. Imagine stumbling upon a treasure trove of art in the unlikeliest of places, a house clearance sale in Cambridge, and discovering a rare gem that could be worth a small fortune. This is exactly what happened when an anonymous art dealer bought a painting by the renowned Spanish surrealist artist Salvador Dali for a mere £150, only to find out that it could fetch up to £30,000 at an auction. But here's where it gets interesting. The painting, titled Vecchio Sultano, was previously sold at Sotheby's in the 1990s, fully attributed to Dali, but somehow lost its attribution over time. This rare occurrence has sent shockwaves through the art world, with experts hailing it as a significant rediscovery for Dali scholars. As Gabrielle Downey, an associate at Auctioneers Cheffins, notes, to handle a genuine rediscovery of a work by who is easily one of the most famous artists in the world and the godfather of surrealism is a real honor. The painting, a mixed media piece made with watercolor paint and felt tip, is an illustration of a scene from the Arabian Nights, a series of 500 pieces that Dali intended to create of Middle Eastern folktales, commissioned by wealthy Italian couple Giuseppe and Mara Alboreto. But what's fascinating is that Dali only completed 100 of the intended 500 works before the project was abandoned, and of those, half remained with the publishing house Rizzoli and were either damaged or lost. The other 50 stayed with the Alboretos and were later inherited by their daughter Cristina, who was also Dali's goddaughter. It's believed that the work in question came from the batch of 50 which were retained and later lost by the publishers. And this is the part most people miss. The painting has been certified as authentic by Dali expert Nicholas Descharnes, and its pre-sale estimate of £20,000 to £30,000 has sparked a heated debate among art enthusiasts. But here's the question. Can a painting that was once lost to the art world still be considered a valuable piece of art? Some might argue that the painting's history and provenance are tainted by its loss of attribution, while others might see it as a rare opportunity to own a piece of art history. As we await the auction on 23rd October, we can't help but wonder, what other secrets is the art world hiding? The discovery of Vecchio Sultano raises more questions than answers, and we invite you to share your thoughts. Do you think the painting's value lies in its artistic merit or its historical significance? Should the art world prioritize authenticity over provenance? Let us know in the comments. The story of Vecchio Sultano is a reminder that even in the most unexpected places, treasures can be found, and that the art world is full of surprises waiting to be uncovered. As the art world continues to evolve, one thing is certain. The value of art lies not only in its monetary worth, but also in its ability to spark conversation, debate, and inspiration. So what do you think? Is Vecchio Sultano a priceless masterpiece or a rare curiosity? Join the conversation and let us know. Salvador Dali's unassuming masterpiece, from £150 to £30,000. Imagine stumbling upon a hidden treasure that was once valued at a mere £150, only to discover it's a rare masterpiece worth £20,000 to £30,000. This is exactly what happened to an unusual painting that was recently identified as an authentic work by the renowned surrealist artist Salvador Dali. The painting, titled Vecchio Sultano, is a mixed-media artwork created with watercolor paint and felt tip, depicting a bejeweled sultan in a scene from the Arabian Nights. But here's where it gets interesting. The painting doesn't scream Dali to the untrained eye, and its unique style has sparked debate among art enthusiasts. So, how did this treasure go from being a bargain buy to a highly valued piece of art? The story begins at a house clearance sale in Cambridge, where the painting was sold to an antiques dealer named John Russell for a mere £150. Russell, a self-proclaimed fan of unusual art, spotted Dali's signature in the bottom right corner of the painting and decided to take a chance on it. Little did he know, he was about to uncover a piece of art history. As it turns out, Vecchio Sultano is one of 100 illustrations that Dali created for a project commissioned by his patrons, Giuseppe and Mara Alboreto. The project, which aimed to illustrate 500 scenes from the Arabian Nights, was abandoned by Dali after completing just 100 pieces. The illustrations were meant to be published by the Italian publishing house Rizzoli, but they remained unpublished for decades. Fast forward to 2014, when 50 of the illustrations retained by the Alboreto family were finally published, reigniting interest in the abandoned project. But what about the remaining 50 pieces? That's where Vecchio Sultano comes in. After Russell purchased the painting, he began to research its history and discovered that it had been listed in a Sotheby's auction in the 1990s. He eventually tracked down the relevant sale catalog on eBay and consulted with the renowned Dalí expert, Nicolas Descharnes, who certified the painting as authentic. Descharnes noted that the style, subject, and colors of the illustration matched those of other pieces in the series, along with the quality and size of the paper. But here's the part that sparked controversy. Some art enthusiasts have questioned whether Vecchio Sultano is truly a typical Dalí piece, given its non-surrealist style. And this is the part most people miss. Dalí's obsession with Moorish culture and his belief that he was from a Moorish line are deeply reflected in this painting. As Gabrielle Downey, a fine art specialist at Sheffins in Cambridge, noted, Dalí was quite obsessed with Moorish culture and believed himself to be from a Moorish line. So what do you think? Is Vecchio Sultano a true masterpiece, or is it an outlier in Dalí's oeuvre? Should its unique style be celebrated, or does it detract from its value as a work of art? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. One thing is certain, however. Vecchio Sultano is a rare and valuable piece of art that has captured the imagination of art enthusiasts around the world. Its story serves as a reminder that even the most unlikely treasures can hold immense value and significance, and that the art world is always full of surprises. Incredible art find. 30K Salvador Dali painting bought for just £150. What if I told you that someone just turned £150 into £30,000 with a single purchase at a house clearance sale? And here's where it gets controversial. They might have just exposed how easily the art world can lose track of masterpieces worth more than most people's annual salary. An anonymous art dealer has pulled off what many would consider the ultimate treasure hunt victory, transforming a modest investment of £150 at a house clearance into a genuine Salvador Dali original, now estimated to fetch between £20,000 and £30,000 at auction. But this isn't just a feel-good story about getting lucky. It raises some uncomfortable questions about how the art establishment operates. The watercolor and felt-tip masterpiece, measuring 38 centimeters by 29 centimeters and titled Vecchio Sultano, was quietly sitting among household items at a Cambridge clearance sale in 2023. What makes this discovery particularly intriguing, and perhaps a bit embarrassing for the art world, is that this very same piece had previously been sold through the prestigious Sotheby's auction house back in the 1990s, complete with full attribution to the surrealist master himself. So how does a Dalí painting simply vanish from the radar of art experts and resurface decades later at a house clearance? Gabrielle Downey, an associate at Cambridgeshire auction house Cheffins, where the piece will go under the hammer on October 23rd, describes losing an attribution as quite rare in the modern art world. But here's what most people miss. If it's so rare, why did it happen to one of the most recognizable artists on the planet? To handle a genuine rediscovery of a work by who is easily one of the most famous artists in the world and the godfather of surrealism is a real honor, Downey explains. She praises the dealer's significant art knowledge that enabled them to spot this treasure among ordinary household goods. The authentication process, she notes, proved to be genuinely thrilling. The piece showcases an unusual facet of Dalí's artistic range, demonstrating his lesser-known watercolor techniques rather than his more famous surrealist oil paintings. This artwork represents a scene from the Arabian Nights, forming part of an ambitious project that tells a fascinating story of artistic rebellion and unfinished dreams. Here's where the story takes an interesting twist that reveals Dalí's notorious personality. In 1963, wealthy Italian couple Giuseppe and Mara Alboreto approached the Spanish master to illustrate a Bible. Instead of accepting their commission as requested, Dali insisted on illustrating scenes from 1001 Nights, the collection of Middle Eastern folk tales, because he was apparently fascinated with Moorish culture and believed himself to be descended from Moorish lineage. The project was intended to encompass 500 individual works, showcasing Dali's interpretation of these ancient tales. However, true to his unpredictable nature, the artist completed only 100 pieces before abandoning the commission entirely. This abandonment created an interesting split in the collection's fate. Half of the completed works remained with publishing house Rizzoli, where they were subsequently damaged or lost entirely, while the other 50 pieces stayed with the Alboreto family. The family's portion was later inherited by their daughter, Cristina, who happened to be Dali's goddaughter, creating a personal connection that adds another layer to this story. These family-retained works eventually found their way into print through the Folio Society's 2016 publication. Nicolas Descharnes, a recognized Dali expert, has now certified the rediscovered piece as authentic, giving it the official stamp of approval that transforms a 150-pound gamble into a significant windfall. Downey speculates that the current auction piece likely originated from the batch of 50 works that remained with the publishing house and were subsequently lost. Which brings us back to that uncomfortable question about how the art world manages to misplace valuable works. But here's what I find most fascinating about this entire situation. If a trained art dealer with significant art knowledge was required to spot this piece at a house clearance, what does that say about the average person's ability to recognize valuable art? And more controversially, how many other masterpieces might be sitting in attics, charity shops, or garage sales right now, waiting for someone with the right eye to discover them? What do you think? Does this story inspire you to start hunting through your local clearance sales, or does it make you question how the art world can so easily lose track of valuable works? Are stories like this proof that there are still incredible discoveries waiting to be made? Or do they highlight serious problems with how we catalog and preserve artistic heritage? I'd love to hear your thoughts, and whether you think the average person could spot a hidden masterpiece if they knew what to look for.